Alrighty, hello folks. This is the next video in my series, I think I'm going to do it as a series now, about Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer in general and how to get started in your time in the hobby. Right? It is very, very, very important that you know how to do these things. A lot of the time, in my own hobby nightmares, I do give advice on how to start your hobby, how to get into 40k, how to get into Age of Sigmar, or any of these other games that are worth getting into. Last Thursday, we actually covered is getting into Warhammer 40,000 worth it in 2025. I will link that video in the description down below. This video is all about you having decided that yes, you know what, North? The answer to that question is affirmative. I want to be involved in Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer in general or any tabletop war game in the year 2025. I think all of these pieces of advice that I'm going to give you right now are applicable to pretty much any other game you can find out there, from Star Wars Legion to Age of Sigmar, the Old World, everything in between, War Machine, whenever you want to be playing, this will be applicable to you. So, you've decided, in response to that video I did last week, yes, North, I'm going to get into Warhammer 40,000 or something the equivalent of. First thing you need to do, and this will be discovering and covering all parts of the hobby, not just building and painting and gaming, but also finding what you like. Number one, decide what you like. Deep dive and do not apologize. Alright, so deciding what you like. Very few people will get into Warhammer 40,000 because they want to get into the hobby. Most people will see one thing in 40k, decide it's the coolest thing they've ever seen, and want to deep dive into that subject. I'm here to tell you, don't listen to the people who tell you not to do that. Absolutely deep dive into that one thing that you think is cool. If you've seen Perturabo and the Iron Warriors and their hazard stripes and you think that's pretty cool, are they building something? Go read about them, right? And that will get you into the Horus Heresy, and learning about who Horus is, who the Emperor is, all that fun stuff. Allow your imagination, allow your wants and desires to dictate where you read about in 40k. Because at the end of the day, it's your hobby. It's what you want to do with it. Do not listen to anybody telling you to start in one place or another, or you won't get it, or you're up to speed with the current meta of what's going on in the current, storyline of 40k. Number one, the current storyline of 40k is rubbish. And number two, there is no real lore. Games Workshop have already said that. There is no canon. Everything is canon and everything is not canon at the same time because they're cowards and they don't like to stick to their guns and writing things. So, you decide what you like, you do your deep dive. Go on things like Lexicanum. Go on, any sort of internet site that's out there that has lore on it. Go onto YouTube. Deep dive through the YouTube lore videos that are on there. Have some fun with it. Get immersed. And buy some books if you want to. Buy some books. Read them. Absolutely dedicate yourself to what you like and ignore everything else. Just ignore everything else. You can discover other things as you go along, but do not go on at anybody else's pace. This is one of the first things that turns people off. When your friends are getting you into 40k, they will try and steer you in a direction maybe you don't want to go in. Resist that. Go in the direction you want to go in at your own pace. 40k is too vast to just get, right? To just read a few books and now I know what the setting is. So don't even try. Like what you like, be unapologetic, and double down on it. Straight away. Once you've gotten that, you probably know what army you want to do now, right? Once you've decided what you think is cool, you probably already know what you want to do. But I just wanted to cover the second part of this little module here, and that is, do not listen to the elitists, the snobs, and the activists who are a part of this hobby. They are here. Alright? Elitists will be people who say you should only do things like Space Wolves, or you should only be covering things like the Custodes. Why would you bother with everything else? The Custodes are better than everybody else. They're like gods who are just walking around the battlefield. How dare you want to learn about the Thousand Suns, or how dare you want to learn about the Grey Knights, or whatever, right? You will get people who shame you for the things that you like in this hobby all the time. One of the main reasons why I don't really like the meme culture surrounding 40k is because of this. It is embedded in this sort of toxic cycle, feedback loop of You know, somebody likes something, you have a go at them for liking that one thing, because they'd be into the same thing you are. Eventually you get through to them, and they either leave the hobby, or they get into the thing that you're into, and they become one of you, and the sickness spreads all the way through the organism, before, and eventually it dies, right? We don't want that. So elitists and snobs are around. Just remind yourself that these are people who are arguing about toy soldiers. That's literally what this is. These are stories told about why toy soldiers are fighting a war that doesn't exist. Again, take all of their arguments, take all of their points with a pinch of salt. I have my own opinions. I don't like Space Wolves, and I'm not a really big fan of Skaven. You know, I've been upfront about that on the channel. But there are writing standards that cause me to not like those factions. It's not really personal. It's more like, you know, I just don't like the way that they're written. But I honestly, I will always say this, I don't judge you if you like Space Wolves or Skaven. I say this all the time. I get it on live chats all the time. People just rinsing Space Wolves, and they expect me to, you know, go, ah, brilliant, yeah, you don't like Space Wolves either. No. Guys, you can like what you like. I don't have to like what you like. And it's fine, you know? If you're into Vikings in space, go for it. Buy all the Space Wolves that you want. I'm really happy you've got cool models, and I hope that you enjoy your hobby. That's it. I have got nothing else to say about that. You should have the same attitude. The last part of this is activists. You will come across them in 40k, unfortunately. It's becoming more and more mainstream, which means modern politics needs to glob onto it in any which way, shape or form that it can to try and ruin it from the outside. You will get activists on both sides. You will get some really unpleasant people telling you that you can't like Black Templars because they're intolerant and things like that. You'll get really unpleasant people on the other side telling you that, you know, just ridiculous stuff like, you know, you can't be a woman in the hobby, or you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, they will try and gatekeep you for ridiculously stupid reasons. These people are out there, but remember my modus operandi here that I always say: if hobby nightmares were prevalent and around all the time, I wouldn't have a show. They're very rare, but you may come across one or two people, especially if you're a guy and you say you want Emperor's Children and you've got a bit of an effeminate voice. Some people may make a comment towards you about being trans or being whatever, you know. You may come across it. It may be out there, okay? You may get a bit of side-eye. Remember, these are toy soldiers. And these are people making deductions on other people based on what kind of toy soldiers they like. Some of the most tolerant, nice people I know love Black Templars. Right? Some of the most hippie-ish people I know love their Black Templars. You know? Some of the hardest MMA fighter-style dudes that I know like Harlequins and Alpha Legion and Tyranids. Do you know what I mean? And all of these other factions that you've been trained to think are for either weebs or trans people or far left people. No, I know some of the most absolutely base people out there who like factions that, you know, have that kind of reputation. Do not judge a book by its cover, and be aware that these activists have globbed onto the hobby in recent years, and they are annoying, and they are out there. Reddit is full of them. Absolutely full of them. It's a cesspit. It's absolutely full of people like this. You may be on Reddit and be perfectly nice. The thing that I always find interesting is I will say something like that about Reddit and nobody says anything. Nobody gets offended. Why? Because even the people who are on Reddit go, yeah, it is. He's not lying. Alright, number 3. Start small. If you're going into the model side of things, start small. So what we've covered so far is the nebulous stuff, right? The stuff that's out there, you're getting into the hobby and you're sort of deciding what you like. Now you've decided what you like. You've decided the army that you want to go with. Let's say you've gone for Ultramarines, right? Third company, Ultramarines. Awesome. Start small. 500 points at most. At most, you should be getting 500 points worth of stuff. What is that? Well, let's go on the Games Workshop website and find out, shall we? Let's go on the Games Workshop website together and find out what you will be buying. And again, I wouldn't buy them from Games Workshop. Just saying that myself. I would go and buy them from, say, your friendly local game store, at most, your friendly local game store. I would go buy them from maybe even a second-hand shop like eBay or something like that, if I'm getting into my first army. But I'll be honest with you, your first army, I'm going to recommend something now. I know a lot of people are going to be really pissed off with me for recommending this. Your first army should be official. Your first 500 points should be official. Right? It should be official models. Right? Don't get recasts, don't get cast-offs, don't get second-hand, don't get 3D printed models unless they're really good. Right? I.e. from Minimaker. Right? Don't do that. Go to your friendly local game store that has 20% off of all of its models and build from there. Get official models that are actually 40k models. There is no feeling quite like getting the models. You know, I don't want you to miss out on that. It is a magical feeling of getting some models together and having fun with them. So let me just take this off for now, because I'm going to have a look at not at Games Workshop. Let's go to Wayland Games. Let's go to Wayland Games. Pretty cool company, Wayland, and Element are also pretty cool. But I use Wayland quite a lot, so let's jump into them. All right, we're starting off with some 40k. So we're going down to 40k. Excellent. And we're going for Space Marine. So right at the top, Adeptus Astartes Space Marines. Now you can do this for any army out there. It doesn't have to be Space Marines. Now we're looking around for what we're going to start with. One thing I need you to listen to and to hear, and a lot of the guys out there will know this as old hat. Just because this says Combat Patrol Iron Hands does not mean you need to paint them as Iron Hands. You can paint these as any chapter that you wish. So if you see a bunch of models that you think are pretty cool, go with that as your first set. Alright? Okay? I would say to get a good army, a 500 point army of 40k, you're looking at spending anywhere from 100 to 150 pounds getting them from an official source like Wayland Games or your friendly local game store, right? For about 500 points is what you're looking at. It maybe goes up to 200 when you're factoring in things like paints, sets, things like that. So, for instance, a 500 point force of Ultramarines, of Space Marines, because we said as our example, we wanted to do Space Marines. Okay, so we've gone with, we want some Knights. So we want our Ultramarines to be quite knightly in the way that they come across. Okay, well, our Combat Patrol Dark Angels here is pretty good. It's got 19 miniatures in it. It's got a HQ choice in there, which we need. It's got loads of troop choices in there. It's got Blade Guard and a heavy support choice. Excellent stuff. This is around, it's Combat Patrol, so it's around 500 points. And if you really want to go the whole hog, then you get this as well. Your Stern Guard Veteran Squad. They are a big shooty heavy hitters that you might need in your force. That is it. That is all you need. You've now got your 500 point army. It's there, ready to go, ready to get involved in a game of Warhammer 40,000. So, what is that? We're looking at 120, 130 quid for your models, and then you want paints, things like that, and that's what you go with. In general, this is what you should be doing. This is how you start your Warhammer 40,000 journey. Is you do it this way: 500 points, nice and simple. Go with your Combat Patrol. Go with a single a unit that you like. That's what I did. I went with a Combat Patrol first, and then I looked around for the kind of unit that I really liked the look of. Mine was actually the Blade Guard. This Combat Patrol wasn't out when I was starting the hobby. Not starting, but starting my new army in the Exile Blades. This Combat Patrol wasn't out. So I went with another Combat Patrol, which was heavy on the Marines, and I got some Blade Guard. Right? I think I got 2 units of Blade Guard in the end. The whole thing cost me 150 quid from, I think it was Wayland Games. And that was it. I was done. I had my first 500 points of Exile Blades ready to go, and off I went, off to the races, right? And that was my first foray back into the Exile Blades. But for this example, we've got ourselves some Combat Patrol Dark Angels, and we got ourselves some Stern Guard Veterans. And we can mix and match these to get our 500 points, and there we are. We've got a nice, small 500 point list here, with easy to put together models, straight out the box. We're ready to go, right? We've got our paints, we've got our glues, we've got all that kind of stuff, and we're happy as Larry. Alright, so, build and paint this army to completion. A lot of people will say to you, just build the army and undercoat them. No, don't do that. Do not shave off parts of the hobby to jump into the next part of the hobby that you actually want to get into. Don't do that. Be in the hobby. Experience it all. You put together your models. You undercoat them. Then you select a nice colour scheme. I mean nice and simple colour scheme. There's no shame in it. I still do it. I always... Nice and simple, right? Build and paint this army to completion so it's done. Don't start playing until it's done. Make yourself sit there and do this, because let's be honest, if you're getting into quite an expensive hobby like 40k, building and painting your army is like 70% of the hobby. Now, if you want to get rid of the 70% of the hobby, I need to question why you're here in the first place. Because even tournament players that I know who love the game, and the gamers mainly, have built and painted their own models. Alright? Eventually they may go and get a commission painter to do it for them, you know, a few models for them, but they still enjoy, you know, the vast majority of the hobby. If you're not here for 70% of the hobby, why are you here? You may as well just go on eBay, buy a set and then get on with it, you know? But I'm telling you now, that person will not be in the hobby for very long. They'll be out of it before long. So, build and paint this army to completion. A lot of people will not give you that advice. I'm going to give it to you. Please, finish your first army. It's only 500 points. It's like a month project. You do it once or twice a week, you know, an evening, 2 or 3 evenings a week, you know, for a month. It's a month project. Not only have you then got yourself a fully painted small army of 40k that you've completed, you can say you've done it, right? But now you've gotten a vast amount of value from those box sets. You spent 120, 130 pound on these models. Call it 150 for your paints as well. You've now gotten, what, 50, 60, 70 hours of entertainment from this? Maybe more from these box sets that you've gotten. You've gotten your money's worth already. You're not feeling buyer's remorse. You've got your army there ready to go. The big fear people have when they're getting into 40k, or any war game for that matter, is that their stuff will sit there unused. Well, make sure you finish it. Get in there, finish it, get it done. It's only 500 points. And once it's done, you've always got that 40k army saying, well, I did it. I selected the 40k army I thought was cool. I finished it as a project. And even now if I don't play a game with it, I've gotten my enjoyment out of it and it's there. And I can always look at it and go, I did that. I built that. That was my creative juices all over that. Not in that way. You know what I mean? Alright. Select a nice, simple colour scheme. There is no shame in it. I still do it. I do it now. Alright? Get a nice, simple colour scheme that looks decent on the tabletop. That's all. Metallic colours are an excellent way to go for this kind of choice. Silver, gold, bronze, all of these things are incredibly easy to do. Alright? You base coat them black. You dry brush the silver over the dark silver over the top. You then null oil it down, and then you lightly dry brush some Necron compound over the top before picking out your details. Done. Right? That's the Exile Blades, man. I just told you how to paint them. Literally. You know? Think out your details. You know, like your loincloths and your shoulder pads, things like that. You know, they can be a different colour, but the base armour, metal. Metallic colours. So easy to do. And you can rack through them very easy, and they look really good on the tabletop. It's basically a cheat code. Your dudes look good on the tabletop, and people will compliment you. There's nothing like just starting out in the hobby, getting your Space Marines done, or whatever it is you're collecting done, right, your 500 point list done. You turn up to your first introduction game, and the opponent says something like, oh, well, did you buy them pre-painted? You go, no, I painted them. What, you just started though, haven't you? Yeah. Dude, these are really cool for a beginner. These are awesome. Like, or even not even that. Like, oh, you're a really good painter, right? If you stick to a nice, simple color scheme, you will get these compliments. A lot of the pitfalls of 40k and wargaming in general come because people like to try to run before they can walk. It's okay. Just walk. Dude, I walk through 40k now, and I've been here for like, what, 20 years? And I still walk through it. You know? I still take my time. I don't rush for nobody. I don't skip points. I don't do that. And I get my army and I paint it, right? As a rule, for a first-time hobbyist, and again, I'm not your dad. You can do whatever you want. If you want to do this, go for it. But as a rule, I would avoid all white and all black armies as anything that requires you, or anything that requires you to buy more expensive equipment or specialist equipment like an airbrush. avoid those colour schemes. That's just what I would do. Even Black Templars, I love Black Templars, but I would personally avoid that colour scheme as my first army, simply because of the amount of edge highlighting it takes to get, or other techniques it takes to get white and black, all white or all black armies to look good on the tabletop. You're going to meet with frustration. This is only a 500 point list, right? You're just doing it to get into the hobby, to see if you can do it, see what you want to do. Paint them in a metallic colour. Try and avoid matte finishes like your Ultramarines, your Blood Angels, Dark Angels. Those can be fine to paint if you look up a guide for them. But if you want quick, simple, easy, metallic colours, alright? And avoid all white and all black armies. They're incredibly difficult to paint. No matter what anybody says to you, they are, okay? There are certain hacks out there you can do, but they never look as good as what they should, you know? And a lot of people will say, oh, just dry brush white and then do Abaddon black contrast paint over it. It's fine. No, it doesn't look. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look black. All right. If you want your black to look good, it takes a while to get there. It just takes hard work. There is no shortcut to a really good looking all black army. I've seen them all the time. I can pick them out from across the room. That guy's taking a shortcut. That black doesn't look that great. It's brutal, but it is, right? Same goes with white armor as well. You can see it from across the room. You know, that guy took a shortcut. So yes, his army is white, or yes, his army is black, but it doesn't look as good as, you know, say that other guy's metallic army. And the guy who's painted the metallic army's put in like 1/10 of the effort, and he has a better looking army. So stick to nice, simple things. Stick to achievable goals in Warhammer, in wargaming, and you will enjoy your hobby a lot more. So by this stage, we've got on a 500 point army, right? We've decided what we like. We've decided what we're into. We've ignored the idiots. We've got our 500 point army together. We built it. We painted it. We're now ready to go and learn. But should we go straight to the Games Workshop store, or should we go straight to the normal? No, don't do that. Okay, not if you can do it this way, then do it this way. Use tools like Tabletop Simulator to learn the game with a friend if you can. Post on Discords like mine, saying that you're looking for friendly people to teach you in Tabletop Simulator. A lot of people will be very, very happy to do so. Tabletop Simulator is not expensive. It is what 10, 15 quid on so look, Tabletop. It's 16 quid, right? 16 quid on Steam. I'm sure you can get it cheaper elsewhere. And once you've got it, literally, just ask people to teach you how to play 40k in Tabletop Simulator. I know people who exclusively play 40k on Tabletop Simulator, and they have a really good time with it as well. I know people who've started like Kill Team and Blood Bowl leagues on Tabletop Simulator. They have a really good time on it. There'll be lots of people, even in my own Discord, that will actually bend over backwards to help you, to get you started on Tabletop Simulator, and just have some fun. It's a no-cost, well, very low-cost way of testing out your models, testing out different plays, testing out different things that you might want to do in real life with your models and with your gaming, right? And it also means you've still got your army there, it's there ready to go, and if you don't like the game, you've now decided, hey, maybe gaming's not for me. I still wouldn't call it until you've gone and actually played a game, you know? If you've got friends who want to get into 40k with you, most of these tools are self-explanatory now. Go with your friends, play some Tabletop Simulator, and play really small games too. Don't play vast games. Play like 200 points each, like 1 or 2 units each, just to get the basics down. That's all you need to do. Nothing else, just the basics. Moving, command phase, moving, shooting, charging, and combat. That's all you need to know. Get those basic things down, and then move from there, right? Start adding things in as you go. Now we'll do a 500 point game. Awesome. As soon as you're doing a 500 point game on Tabletop Simulator and you're quite happy with it, it's time to go to your local store. It's time to go face to face. Now you can skip the online Tabletop Simulator part if you want. What I'm giving you is my ideal ABCD how to get into the hobby, right? You can skip this if you've got a really good local store with really good local people who just want to teach how to play the game. You can't skip this. But if you've got no mates, no friends who are getting into 40k with you, this is a great way to get started. Because a lot of these people will also want to play in real life too. So if they're anywhere near around your local area, that's great, right? Anyway. So when you're ready, when you feel like you're ready, look to your local store. Usually it's a friendly local game store rather than a Games Workshop. And simply ask folks on their Discord or their Facebook group, or whatever it is, for a small game of 500 points 40k, perhaps Combat Patrol, to start to learn the game. Be very, very, very clear about your intentions. I'm here to learn the game. I am not I'm humble. Always be humble. So I am here to learn. I am here to start. I am not a veteran. I am not somebody who is going to give you a really good game. I am not here to practice for a tournament. And if you're doing that kind of thing, I'm not the best opponent for you. I'm here to learn at 500 points. Will anybody help me, please? You will get, hopefully, quite a few people who want to help you, who want to step out. I've never known anybody to be left wanting at this stage. Most people will be like, yeah, sure, I'll play with you. You know, I'll play a game with you, right? So, but remember that this is the most important part of your hobby if you're going into the gaming side of it, seriously. Opponent selection is more important than anything else, even remembering your bloody rules. If something seems off with this first opponent, do not be afraid to make your excuses and back out and look for another place to play your first official game of 40k. Alright? If this person's attitude or the way they come across, you know, they're not really telling you what they're going to bring, they're not really, they're acting like this game is as something riding on it, back away. Just back away and maybe reevaluate whether you should be playing your first game of 40k with this individual. You need to exercise your right to say no. Far too many people who play Warhammer 40,000 and other tabletop war games are afraid of saying, I don't want to play this game with you. Right? Do not be afraid to say, listen, man, you know, I don't think we're in this for the same thing. I'm literally just trying to learn. You seem like, and always try and flatter them. Say, listen, you seem like a way too advanced player for me right now. Okay? So I don't want to offend you, but I'm going to go find someone who's more of a beginner to play with so I can learn. And now that will wake most dudes up. If a dude is talking to you and he's throwing jargon at you and he seems like he's going to be playing for blood, it seems like he's like really getting into the nitty-gritty of what he's going to be doing with his list, say that to him. Say, listen, man, I think you're a bit too advanced for me right now. I'm looking to start a casual, normal game. I don't even want to play with secondaries. I just want to play with primary objectives just to learn the game. And I think that you'll be bored playing me, so I'm going to go find someone who's like at my level, and then eventually I can play a guy like you. Most dudes will do one or two things in this scenario. They will either say, oh, dude, I didn't realize I was being that way. All right, let me make a really cool normal list, and we'll do like a 500-point game with just primaries, no problem. In fact, I'll just bring my combat patrol from my faction and maybe a Stern Guard veteran squad. You know, as an example. That's what I'll do. Right? Most dudes will either do that, or they'll say, oh, okay, oh, well, no problem, man. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, when you've learned the game a bit, then come back and we'll play that game. Any dude who does anything other than that, you never wanted to play anyway. If a guy gets aggressive or arsey with you for being that way, you don't want to play that guy anyway. You've saved yourself a couple of hours, right? Never, ever, ever be afraid to say, listen, man, it's a bit too advanced for me. It's a bit too much right now. I'm looking to learn. I'm not looking to get my teeth kicked in. Let's just, you know, I'll play you down the line, all right? That kind of thing. As long as you're polite about it and you're honest about it, most people will be okay, all right? But don't ever be afraid to say no. Especially if you're getting that whiff of like, this guy's a bit too competitive. And sometimes guys don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes when it comes to an introduction game, guys will literally, that they're so enthusiastic about their hobby that they'll start just like raking stuff off the top of their head, you know? And it becomes like, okay, oh, dude, okay, you know? And that's the time you need to say, maybe you're a bit too advanced for me, my friend, you know? And that will wake them up. They'll either come down to your level and play your game, or they'll accept that and move on. And if they don't do either of those two things, you didn't want to play with them anyway. So move on. You've saved yourself some time. Alright? Alright. So your first games, plural, should be introductory. So, experienced dudes out there, listen to this bit. Your experienced opponent should be offering pointers, asking questions of your tactics, and highlighting key parts of any phase as and when they happen. If you have done some pre-learning online, and your opponent is open to a smaller, more casual game, you should be coming out with a better handling of the rules and a new friend to boot. Alright? If you followed this list to its conclusion, congratulations, you are now a Warhammer 40k hobbyist. And not just that, you have a really solid standing in being into this hobby. Now, you don't need to do all of these steps to just be a part of the hobby. That's just not how it works, right? You can do it exactly, you know, what you want, when you want. Disregard parts of this list that you want if it's not applicable to you. But if you've done all of these things, or most of these things, and you've had your first few games under your belt of 500 points, you are now in it. You're done, right? You've experienced the entire smorgasbord of the hobby. It's all there. You've done it all now. You've bought, built, and painted your army, right? You've gotten into the lore, the bits that you like, and you played the game. You've got a nice, solid understanding of the game. From now, the world is literally your oyster. You can either leave the hobby now, saying you've done it, you gave it a go, and you'll come back to it in the future, or you can stay in it and take it on. I think the vast majority of you will stay in it, though. So if I was getting into Warhammer 40,000 in the year 2025, this is what I'd be doing. Exactly what I've told you in this video. Alright? So that is the second part of this series. The first part we did was, is it even worth getting into? The second part has been what you do if you've decided that this is for you, right? Our next part next week will be what to do if you're struggling, right? If you're struggling to get involved in the hobby, what to do. Because these questions come up in every single Hobby Nightmare, it seems, and I'd like to do a codified, you know, how to get into the hobby sort of a thing. So, I love you a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow, all right? Have a good one. Bye now.